Have you ever had a feeling that something was going to happen? I knew something would happen today. I had no idea what it was, but something had to happen. I felt this way all day and couldn't figure out why. Maybe because it was Monday. My wife and I have been on the cool side of our relationship for several weeks. This has happened before. She just distanced herself from me, saying it was just her. In a few weeks, she will return to her normal self. Then we would return to normal life. The usual casual touching and kissing as we passed each other in the house was missing, although we made love twice on Sunday and showered together before I left for work that morning. I left work and drove home with the windows open on this wonderful summer day. I parked in the driveway instead of going into the garage because I was going to take my wife out to dinner. I opened the front door and shouted, "Darling, I'm home!" No answer. I walked up the stairs to our bedroom and found it empty. I walked down the hallway and looked into each of the two guest rooms, but found no one. I went downstairs and checked the laundry room and garage, but they were empty. Walking into the dining room and living room, I found that they were also empty. So I continued to the kitchen. The kitchen was empty. The last place to be explored was the courtyard. And then something happened. Yes, today was that day. There, in the backyard, was my naked wife, on the knees, facing the wooden fence that we built between us and our neighbors. Her face was pressed against the fence as if she was kissing him. I walked up to her and raised my voice. "What the hell is going on here?" She jerked and tried to turn her head but couldn't. I came closer and finally realized it. Her hair was inserted into the space between the fence slats, and her head was pressed firmly against the fence. Well, that wasn't all. It was pulled tight over my neighbor's manhood. "What the hell?" I shouted, and that's when I heard a voice from the other side of the fence. "Hello, Mick!" "Hello?" "I was waiting for you to come home." I went into the barn, took a stepladder, and leaned it against the fence to the sound of my wife grunting and moaning. Climbing the stairs, I looked over the fence and saw the smiling face of my neighbor's wife. "Hello, Glory. What the hell is going on?" "I came home, Mick, and found this love scene." I crept up on them unnoticed. "And they didn't stop what they were doing?" "Well, I didn't leave them a choice." Ben at that moment stuck his manhood through a hole in the fence. He held her hair tightly, and she caressed him as if they were in a glory hole. Same question? Didn't they stop? Well, I think putting the gun to his head kind of froze him in place. I would imagine she would back down. I think she would have done that, but when I saw them, I was in the kitchen. So I grabbed our handy tube of super glue and squirted it all over his hands and her hair so she couldn't keep her hands off his manhood. So she stuck to the fence with her mouth full? Yes. I decided to let them stay like this until you got home. Because let's face it, who would believe it? I definitely wouldn't believe it. I know. So after I glued his hands to her hair, she couldn't pull away without tearing out a lot of hair. It would hurt like hell. Any idea how long this has been going on? We've been waiting here for about an hour. No, I mean this whole matter. How long have they been doing this? Hubby says they've been doing this for several months. I wanted you to see it, so I put a gag in his mouth so he couldn't call for help. The neighbors might hear. Surprise! Not a damn thing, I said, and looked down at my wife. Are you having fun, Deb? She tried to shake her head, groaned, and tried to say something. Then I thought about something else. Glory, did they have sex? Mick, he admitted that they had sex too, through a hole in the fence. I looked at my wife. It was fun? The tears in her eyes told me that if this was fun, it certainly wasn't now. Okay, Glory, since this was your plan, what do you want to do now? Well, Mick, would you like to have sex with me now? I would love to, but I'm not a son of a bitch like him. I will not make love to someone else's wife. What about when I'm no longer married? Are you going to divorce him? Yes, he is no longer the same as before, and he's a piece of shit. Okay, I'll be happy to do this after you file for divorce. When are you going to apply? First, you need to shoot some video and use it as evidence of adultery. Adultery? Does this affect divorce? That's definitely true here in Idaho. Cool. Come on, you shoot a video, and then I'll cut her hair. You can get great shots of her pulling away from his manhood. Then we can both use the video. We can aptly on the same day, and then you and I can do this wonderful thing." Ben groaned at his wife's words. Deb was crying. Glory chuckled. I pulled out my phone and turned on the recording function. "I'm ready, Glory." "Okay, let's start." Glory raised the scissors over the fence so I could see them and snapped them a few times. After a couple of seconds, Deb's hair was freed from its captivity. She moved away and fell on the grass and could now sob loudly, freed from this trap. However, Ben remained motionless. "Glory, his manhood is so swollen that he can't pull it back out." "Really? That's funny. Put some ice on it." "I think I can ask Deb to put some ice on it." "I'm not going to touch him. Deb, do you want to apply some ice and free your handsome man?" She looked at me and shook her head. "He is not my handsome," she continued to cry. "Well, yes, bitch, of course. Get some ice and see if you can reduce it." Deb stood up and walked into the house. I started to hear Ben's voice from the other side of the fence. Glory must have pulled out her gag. "I'm sorry, Glory. I'm sorry." She started it. I heard a sound like a slap in the face, then a couple more. "Shut up, or I'll grab you and pull you out of the fence with such force that I'll rip the skin off your manhood. You probably won't like losing some of your skin." I turned to look for Deb and noticed that when Deb entered the house, she let Bosco out. My dog's favorite treat was hot dogs. Funny, right? Before I knew what was happening, Bosco ran up to the fence and bit into a flesh-colored hot dog. And my sweet dog put all his weight into pulling him, as if Ben was playing tug-of-war with him. With a powerful jerk, Bosco stepped back, winning the competition. Ben screamed. Deb screamed. Glory screamed as Ben fell onto his back, showing only the bloody stump between his legs. I slowly walked behind Bosco, repeating, without straining my voice too much, Bosco, well, give it back." Maybe I could catch him before he finished his hot dog, but how could I leave my faithful dog without his legally obtained meal? Yes, I knew something would happen today. I had no idea what it was, but something had to happen.